Welcome to the Relationship Diversity Podcast, where we celebrate, question, and explore all aspects of relationship structure diversity, from soloamory to monogamy to polyamory and everything in between, because every relationship is as unique as you are. We'll bust through societal programming to break open and dissect everything we thought we knew about relationships, to ask the challenging but transformational questions: who am I, and what do I really want in my relationships? I'm your guide, Carrie Jaroslaw, best-selling author, speaker, intuitive, and coach. Join me as we reimagine all that our most intimate relationships can become. I just arrived home from my niece's wedding with an amazing gift: COVID. It's my first go around with this virus. I made it almost 3 years without getting it. In the last several months, all I wanted was to get to my niece's wedding at the end of October. After that, I didn't care if I got it and expected that I probably would, although I didn't think it would happen this immediately. Luckily, my symptoms are very cold-like and manageable with ibuprofen and cold medicine. My biggest symptom is spaciness. My mind can't seem to land on a thought for longer than about a minute before moving on to a different one. Seemingly disparate strands of thought begin weaving a ball of yarn so complex that when I try to unravel it, I just give up. So I thought it might be fun to see what happens when I sit down and talk about what's on my mind, streaming from my consciousness. I've had times where some profound awarenesses have poured out of me, and other times where nothing seems to make sense. So if you're hearing this, I guess I felt that there were moments of value that came forth through this COVID haziness that I wanted to share, or that I think are important to bring into the discussion about diverse relationships. My niece's wedding was so special for me. Seeing her walk down the aisle with my brother and sister-in-law made me burst into tears of happiness. I remember the exact moment I found out she was born. I was in my roommate's bedroom in my house at Florida State University. I was a senior about to graduate. "You're an aunt," my brother said on the other end of the corded phone. I couldn't wait to get home to meet this beautiful new addition to our growing extended family. And from the day I met my niece, I was in awe of her. She was aware, wide-eyed, and innocent. At 3 years old, she was saying words that I didn't even know the meaning of, with perfect diction and understanding. She was the definition of precocious. She was inquisitive and not only intellectually advanced, but she also had such emotional maturity. Her brother, my nephew, came into our family 2 years later, and together at such a young age, they amazed me. I would always ask their dad and mom, "What are you doing? And can you teach me your wisdom?" Perhaps one of the most eye-opening experiences with my niece came when she was in high school. She shared with me what her friends in her school were like in terms of gender and sexual identity, telling me that some of her friends liked boys one day and girls another, and that it wasn't a big deal. They were just being themselves. The rules that seemed to guide my high school social interactions in the 1980s were long gone. Homosexuality was more taboo in the 80s, and if someone thought a classmate was gay, it was whispered behind backs. It gave me such hope that we were moving away from the rigidity of putting people in boxes in terms of their identity. And if they didn't fit in those boxes, they were condemned or shamed. Over 15 years has passed since those conversations with my niece, and I have happily witnessed the boxes being smashed apart even more. Her generation, the generation after that, and the one after that are saying no to being labeled. They're rejecting the idea of having to be one way for their entire life. They are living in a fluid world, a fluid sense of identity and fluid thoughts, a diversity of self-expression. I think one of my favorite words as of recent is the word fluid, because it speaks to the truth of our very nature, the truth that we're constantly evolving, shifting, and changing. I'm different than I was when I started recording this episode, maybe minutely, but different nonetheless. We have been so far out of balance in this area for far too long. I think about my parents' generation, all the societal programming and expectations of how a proper good life is supposed to be lived. Fluidity is new, fresh, and filled with adventure. It honors our deepest feelings and allows them to be expressed in the world. It speaks to the natural flow of life that is ever changing and evolving, which I feel is what the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus was referring to when he said change is the only constant in life. Fluidity involves becoming water-like, twisting and turning and flowing around rocks and boulders. Water naturally flows downstream and requires an element of surrender and trust. Where are we going? Where will we end up? When we try to go upstream, we're met with resistance in our bodies and minds. When I try to make something happen, I feel pain in my body and discomfort in my mind. When I let go and surrender, I find that although I may not end up where I thought I would, it's always better in the long run. Fluidity can be scary. When we're static, there's a sense of safety and comfort in staying the same. We know what we're dealing with. We know how to react and respond. Fluidity requires a degree of comfort in the unknown. We have never been taught how to be comfortable in the unknown, so there's a lot of reprogramming and relearning in this area. Now, fluidity can also be seen as a relief in times that are challenging. Our desire to stay the same can backfire when we're in difficult moments of our life that we fear will never get better. If at these times, especially, we embrace the fluidity of life, we can surrender to the challenging moment, allow it to be what it is, and give us the gift it's meant to give us, while trusting that we will move through it, trusting that it's not permanent. This has helped me tremendously because when I'm overwhelmed with a challenge, I feel I'll never get out of it, that I'll be stuck in the pain forever. This causes me to resist all the kinds of feelings that come up and then, out of fear, force my way out of it without fully embracing the gift that it has to offer. I do think that it's important to note that there is such a thing as unconscious fluidity. Now, I'm defining this as a constant moving from one place to another, one identity to another, from one thought to another, not from a place of exploration, but from a place of avoidance and escapism that ends up keeping the deepest core wounds hidden. This kind of fluidity keeps you stuck and unfulfilled, always searching for answers in the wrong places. Conscious fluidity is an integral part of relationship diversity. Fluidity allows us the space to become our unique self, and from our unique self, we can design our unique relationships with our partners. I don't have to be who I think I should be, or who I think my partners want. I don't have to be what I think a good wife or partner is. I can be me. And I have the space to learn, heal, release old patterns, and embrace new ways of being. I'm a very different person at 52 years old than I was at 36, and I've found more self-love and self-worth as I've busted open rigid boxes of labels and expectations. And looking at the collective of humanity, I feel overall there's been so much rigidity in every aspect of life, and it's created more depression and anxiety. It's created a society of people who feel unworthy, not good enough, burnt out, overwhelmed, and lost. I believe that conscious fluidity can be the balm to the woundedness of unbalanced rigidity. Fluidity is colorful and beautiful. It celebrates life and love. The song True Colors by Cyndi Lauper comes to mind when I think of fluidity. I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let it show. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow. I often wonder, and many times daydream, about what the world would look like if we all felt free living in the fluidity of our personal evolutionary journey. If we all learned how to know ourselves, be seen and honored for being our unique fluid selves. This kind of self-acceptance, self-love, and self-responsibility would help us learn to really love and accept others for being their unique fluid selves. It would help us find compassion and understanding of people's paths, meeting them with kind words and actions. So there you go. Thanks for sticking with me through this COVID musing. I'm curious about what your thoughts are on this idea of fluidity. Until next time. Thank you for listening to the Relationship Diversity Podcast. Want to learn more about relationship diversity? I've got a free guide I'd love to send you. Go to www.relationshipdiversitypodcast.com to get yours sent right to you. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast. You being here and participating in the conversation about relationship diversity is what helps us create a space of inclusivity and acceptance together. The more comfortable and normal it is to acknowledge the vast and varied relating we all do, the faster we'll shift to a paradigm of conscious, intentional, and diverse relationships. New episodes are released every Tuesday and Thursday. Stay connected with me through my website, carriejaroslow.com, Instagram, and TikTok. Stay curious. Every relationship is as unique as you are. Are you wondering why you never seem to find lasting fulfillment in your relationships? Or do you create the same kinds of relationship experiences over and over again? Can you never seem to find even one person who you want to explore a relationship with? Have you just given up hope altogether? If this sounds like you, my recent book, Why Do They Always Break Up With Me, is the perfect place to start. The foundation of any relationship, whether intimate or not, is the relationship we have with ourselves. In the book, I lead you through 8 clear steps to start or continue your self-exploration journey. You'll learn about the importance of self-acceptance, gratitude, belief shifting, and forgiveness, and given exercises to experience these life-changing concepts. This is the process I use to shift my relationships from continual heartbreak to what they are now, fulfilling, soul-nourishing, compassionate, and loving. It is possible for you. This book can set you on a path to get there. Currently available through Amazon or through the link in the show notes.